Welcome to HCK. My name is Jay Mbuvi and this is your favorite program, Knowledge Quest. Now today we want to proceed with the hypertext markup language. Of course, we have covered so much so far, and we need now to see how we can be able to link our pages together. And there's a very important attribute called the A tag with its own attributes that we need to see how we can discuss. So the A tag is a very important tag with several attributes that we can take advantage of to be able to link our pages together, and that is what we are going to discuss right immediately. So now open your Visual Studio Code. Let us proceed with the project where we left lastly. So we had created several hypertext markup language files. We created several files here. You can see about.html, contact.html, index, services, and many others. But it is very important to see how we can be able to navigate from one page to another page. So the A tag, this one, is a very important tag for us. Now the A tag comes with an attribute called href that defines the linking or the page targeted. Then you need to close the A tag to be able now to type what users should be able to see here in between the two, that is the opening and the closing tag. So for this case, we'll type what the user are expected to see here, like home page, and then here inside the href attribute, the value will be the specific page that we are targeting. Like for example, if you are targeting the index page, then we'll have it here, index.html. That means when people click home page, then they will be taken here. Now when you want to create an A tag to link people to the About Us page, then what do you need? You need a similar stuff, the A tag href equals, then you define the page inside what? The double quotes or the single quote. Then remember, what people will see is what you type in between the opening and the closing tag, something like that. So in between here, you can now type the about.html, because when people click this, then they are expected to be taken here. So that is the A tag for you. It is the same tag that you can use to redirect people out there to maybe another external page. Like for example, a page for the Facebook page, a page for maybe a certain website, link to a certain image out there, link to a certain object out there, then you're expecting to use the A tag. So for now, let us first concentrate in linking our pages together. Let's get there. We can start with the index page immediately after the body. Here, you create the A tag and the href attribute. Then in between the A tags here, you type the title or the caption, what people should see out there, that is home page. And then you can type in here that specific value or the page where people should be taken when they click the home page. And of course, we are linking people to our different files here. So the first file to link will be the index.html file. After that, you create now a link to the next page. We can now target the page for about. So you can have here as about.html and make sure people can see the word About Us page out there. Doesn't matter, you can type in capital or you can type in a sentence case, but the most important thing is to know that this is what users will see out there, but this is what people will be taken to. Of course, the pages themselves. So the third link, the I tag, the A tag will be for the next page, services.html, and here is what people should be able to see, services page. Then now lastly, because we have only 4 pages, another A tag for the contact us page, where people now should be seeing the word contact us, and then when they click that, then we expect they should be taken to the contact.html page. So we have created our links here. So let us see, let us test to know whether really it's working. So what you need here is to open with your live server as usual, or you visit the page where you saved your work. Of course, in the folder here, you double click your index page and confirm yes that your buttons, your links are there. So the next thing you need to do is now to test. If you click home page, you're expecting on top here the URL is index.html, meaning the linking is correct. Now when you click about us, you expect the link here is about.html. Now you've realized that our about us page is blank, doesn't have content, but at least we can go there and create the necessary links too, because we also need, when we are in the about us page, we need a way of navigating to the link, or rather to the other pages. So let's go ahead and do the same. So visit your about us page. Of course, if you don't have the boilerplate template, just create it. This class assumes that already you know how to create this boilerplate template. So we can set the title here as about us, if you had not done that, and then now from there we can get inside the body and create our links too, in the same pattern that we had done, starting with which link, the index, then about, then services, then contact. If you know how to copy paste, then you can just highlight, then Ctrl C on your machine, that is copying, and then now you go to the next page that you are targeting, which is the about us page. Then you just Ctrl V, or you paste in the normal way. Alternatively, it's good you also learn by typing. So you just create the A tag, press enter, type index.html, then from there type homepage here, homepage. Then start the next A tag, type the next A tag, which was now tag for about.html, and then make sure you type what people should see in between the two, that is about us page, about us page. Then go ahead and create another A tag linking people to the other file, which was service.html, and make sure at this particular point now you type what people should be able to see, services page. Then now the last item should be your contact us link. Take people to the necessary file, and then make sure people can be able to see what is expected of them, contact us page, something like that. So we need those links across all our other pages. We need these links across all our other pages. So it's very important to be able to put all that. Let me generate my boilerplate template, HTML5. Then from there, the title here was services, or any other title, don't worry about that. But of importance now is the links. The links, make sure you have those links with you. And then the last page as well, which is the contact us page, make sure immediately after the body close opening tag here, that is where you are putting your links. Immediately after the opening tag for the body, you put your links there. Very important, very important. So we've now linked all our 4 pages together, meaning our viewers or our users can be able to navigate from one page to another without having really to struggle. Let's see whether that is the case. There we go. I am in the index page. Now while here I can be able to click the contact page, and of course it will take me here. While here I can be able to click the services page, it will take me here. While here I can be able to click the about us page, it will take me here. You can see over here I am in the about us page, and while there again I can be able to click the home page, and of course it will bring me here. So definitely we are able to navigate. We are able to navigate from one page to another at ease. So now I think it is now the high time we start populating the content of our application. It is the high time we start populating the content of our application. So we have the about us page here, we have the services page, we have the contact us page, and we have the home page. So it's good we start now populating our application. So before then, make sure that your navigation pages, these ones, links, are working quite well. Make sure your navigation pages are working quite well. You should be able to navigate from one page to another without struggling, and from that then it makes the work of your viewers easier, so that they can be able to navigate from one page to another without having to struggle. Now from there we will come later to style. Of course now our website of course looks ugly, it's not beautiful, but remember HTML creates the core structure of our website. When it comes to styling, then we leave that to cascading style sheets. So when it comes to styling, then CSS will handle that for us quite well. So for now I want us to start populating our website with now content, with information, with data, because already we have the structure set quite well. So I want us now to go to the about us page, this one, and populate this page with content. So the first thing that we are going to do here is to tell people welcome to our website. Then from there we can tell our users this is our stuff. Then we populate staff name, staff images, staff designation, and information about the staff like contact and all that. So how do we do that now? How do we populate our pages with content, and how do we present that content to the viewers? We can present the content to our viewers in several ways. So the first important way is using a table, and that brings us to HTML tables. That brings us to HTML tables. So we want in the about us page, we want to have something like this: welcome to our website. Then at that particular moment we say something like meet our staff. Then we create a table where we'll be able to display our staff, like staff name, staff designation or position, and then we can have the staff image over there, and maybe contact or whatever thing that we want. A simple table to just display content. We want to populate our website so that now when we begin styling, then we have something that we can be able to style, because really our website is not looking that nice, but we cannot style empty website. So let's go ahead, name, position or designation, and then here the staff image, something like that. Then we create like 3 or 4 staff in a table. So here we can have Mr. Wafula, we can have maybe director as the position, then an image for him. Then again here Mr. Kariuki, then maybe head of marketing, and then here an image, then maybe MS Gen, then maybe assistant director, and then an image, something like that. So we are in the about.html file here. That's where we are. So what is expected of us? As usual, you get in there and introduce yourself to the viewers immediately after the A tags, somewhere like here. At that particular point, you can have an heading 1, H1. If you remember, what is that? We said that we have several headings. We have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, heading 6. Heading 1 being the largest and heading 6 creating the smallest content out there as a heading. So we're using heading 1. So for this case, H1. Enter. Then now you type what you want. Welcome to our website. Welcome to our website. So always preview what you're doing so that in case of anything you can be able to know whether you're on the right track or not. Welcome to our website. Of course, you can use a sentence case where the first starting letter is usually capital. Welcome to our website. Now from there, a simple table to display this. We can also have this meet our staff. We can use maybe a paragraph to do that. Then we have it as meet our staff. After that, we can go ahead now and create our table. Now, we need to analyze our table to know exactly what is expected of us. We have a simple table here. The first thing that we need in this table is to know the number of rows that are in this table and the number of columns that are in this table. So how many columns are here? 1, 2, 3 columns. How many rows are here? 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So for this case then, we need to start first by creating the table tag itself. So at that point, table, and then inside the table you create the first row, the second row, the third row, and the fourth row. So what do we do? You use the attribute the tag tr. So tr creates a row, a table row. So that is my first table row. Then another table row, then another table row, then another table row. Make sure you have 4 table rows, tr1, tr2, tr3, and tr4. That defines our 4 table rows. Now let's get inside the first table row. So in my first table row here, I have titles. I have table headings inside the first table row. So I'm going to create my different table headings in there. So th is the tag that we use to define a table heading. So our first table heading add the word name. So you can go ahead and type name. Then you can now create another table heading 2 with the word position. So you go ahead and type the word position. Then go ahead and create another table heading with the word image. Table heading image. So that defines my table headings. So far we have created a table, but remember our table doesn't have borders. Our table doesn't have width defined, because that is expected to come through styling, through CSS. But for now, it's good we introduce a way we can be able to see our table. So we'll just come inside the table tag and create a styling, just a simple styling, at least so that we can see the borders and at least so that we can see maybe the width. So come inside the table tag here, because so far if you preview your work, you realize that yes, the table is there but cannot be seen. So what do we need to do? We just need, for now, temporarily, because we haven't started CSS, but at least we need to see what we are doing. So you can now introduce the border attribute. You can have it as 1 pixel, and then you can also introduce the width attribute. Width equals, you can have it like 70%. You can always use percentage of the viewport, or you can use pixels like 300 px, 400 px, 700 px, depending on what you want. So far, if you preview now, you realize that yes, our table borders has been shown. Okay, now let us get to the second row. Let us get to the second row. So our second row is here. We have Mr. Wafula, director. We have Mr. Kariuki, head of marketing. Ms. MS Jen, assistant director, something like that. So we get inside the second row and now define the table datas. Table data 1, Mr. Wafula. Another table data, director. Remember, we are inside the first table row. Another table data, an image. How do we introduce images in HTML? We said we use the img tag, img tag that usually come with the src attribute, where you define the path of your image. So this is the tag that we need. That is the tag that we need. img src to introduce an image in between the td here. So that means now you need img. So you can just type img, press enter, then of course it will generate for you the tag for img coming with the src attribute. You can ignore the alternative. If you want, you can define the alternative here as maybe Mr. Wafula. So that at least when the image fails, then we'll have the word Mr. Wafula there. You can define it or you can decide to ignore. That is not very important for now. So what else do we need? That is our first row. That is already done. You can confirm. We haven't created the source. We'll download an image, sample image later, put there. So let's go ahead. Preview what you have done. You realize that yes, we have Mr. Wafula, director, and because the image is missing, then we have the alternative attribute showing here. Now let's create now our next content of the third row, Mr. Kariuki. In the third row, create the td tag. The td tag content is Mr. Kariuki. Another td tag, head of marketing. And another td tag, an image. So img, press enter, then definitely, because we don't have an image, of course if you had an image you can put the path to the image here. For now we don't have an image, then we can just rely with the alternative. Then we say Mr. Kariuki, something like that. Okay, now from there, the last table row, MS Gen in the first td, MS Gen, another td, assistant director, another td, the image. img is the tag. Press enter. Then because you don't have an image, we come to the alternative attribute and create maybe the text Mr. MS Gen, something like that. So at this particular point, you can now see what you have done. We have created a similar table as the one that we had created. You can see the table headings, you can see the relevant rows and the relevant content of our table. So using a table is a very nice way of creating a presentation. So as I wind up, you can be able now to download the different images that we are going to set now here, at least so that you can be able to see the images of the different staff members in our About Us page. You can practice by creating many more images. See you in the next class. Thank you for watching. So welcome back. We had already created our HTML table to display content. Remember, we said that we need to have a way we can populate our website with information, with the content, but it's very important also to know how we are going to present the content to the users out there. So for this case, we have decided that we will use a table, and this is the table that we had projected to create. And at this particular point, you can see that yes, we have created the code, and yes, this is our table. Now, before we went to break, we said that we created this img tag, and because we did not have an image, then we decided to use the alternative attribute that now brought this text instead of the image. So what is expected of you now out there is to go online, get an image, maybe a passport sized, a photo sized image, put it in your project, then now we can use it. Me, I have downloaded a passport a photo sized image. I have put it inside my img folder because this is where we are expecting to put all the images out there. Of course, I have two images, one given the name Madam and another one given the name Person. So you guys, you can create images of your own choice out there, save them in the img folder so that now you can use it in the table or in whatever place. So when you are back to your Visual Studio Code, one thing that you need to make sure is that you have the images here. You have the images inside the img tag. That is very important because now come here, we expect to link our image inside the img tag, and the src attribute is waiting for the path to the image. So the path to the image is the folder where the image is located, which is now the img folder here. And then you can be able to see your two images or the other images that you have saved in your img folder. So you can pick the folder, the file that you want to link to Mr. Wafula. Then now go to the next, to Mr. Kariuki. You also do the same. You link the folder and then the file for Mr. Wafula, the image for Mr. Wafula, you link it there. Then go ahead now to the third src attribute and now create the link to the image for MS Gen. So of course in the img folder, and then you access the file relevant for MS Gen. So up to that particular point, you should be able to see that yes, your images have been linked up together here. So your images should be appearing now here. Now you may have noticed that now these images have a big height and width. You can control that using cascading style sheet, and I think for this one we will leave it at that point, so that when we start now CSS, you can see the importance of the CSS, although you can still do it the way we had done before, just for the purpose of controlling the view of your image. You can introduce inside the img tag here, although it is not a nice practice, but you can introduce the attribute style here, like for example the width, then define it like 50px. When you do that, you realize that the width of your image has been reduced to 50 pixels. So you should be able now to see something like this. You can see the image here, it's a bit smaller than the others. So you can go to the next and do the same. You can go to the next image and do the same, although it's not a nice practice, but at least so that you can control the width of our image, then you can introduce this attribute called width and define the width of your images in pixels, 50px, and do that to the third image. Introduce the width attribute and pass the value 50px. So at least when you do that, you have controlled your images width at a go. Now if you were using CSS, you could have done that in a single line of code, controlling all the images at a click of a button. So I think so far you can see our table is appearing quite well, and it has some very nice information. Now sometimes out there you will find that you need to create a unique structure of your table to accommodate your message and your information. Like for example, on top of this image, or rather on top of this table, let's say the table, the entire table of it, you can have one row. You can have one row that is spanning across one table row that has one table data that is going across several columns. That is going across several columns. Like for this case, you can have something like our staff members. That is one table data of a table heading that is going across several columns. At some point down here, you can decide to introduce a cell here that is spanning across several rows, and you can decide to introduce another cell that is spanning across two columns, something like that. And probably here you can have something like contacts, then here we have number 07 blah 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 blah. Then here we have email, then maybe school@gmail.com, something like that. Don't mind about the content, The structure is more important. So at this particular point, you can see we have one cell that has gone across several columns within the first very row, and at our last part here we have contacts that is going across several rows, and we have number that is going across several columns, actually 2 columns, and email again going to across 2 columns. So how do we target that? This is what is expected of us. So we are going to introduce one row on top here. That row will have one cell with the word our staff members here, and then that cell we make it span across several columns. Let's get there. So this was our table, and this was our first row, which was acting as our heading, this one. So we are going to introduce one more row here, table row, and then we are going to make a table heading there, and inside the table heading that is inside the first row that we have just created, we are going to create one content, which is our staff members, as a table heading. So we just type there our staff members. So far you realize that our table heading is not balancing well with the rest. If you have a preview of what we've done, you realize that a cell has been created, but at least it shows that it belongs to the first column. So to make it span across the other columns, then we are going to introduce an attribute for the table heading called column span. So col span equals 3. What does that mean? This means that this content here is expected to span across 3 columns, column 1, column 2, and column 3. There we go. Let's have a look at what we've done. This is it. Our staff members spanning across the 3 columns. Now, let's target now the bottom part. Contacts, number, email. So at this particular point, you can realize that contacts is one cell, and this cell is spanning across 2 rows. It started here and it went all along to here. So the first thing that we are going to do, as usual, is to introduce our 2 rows, the first row and the second row. Don't worry about the content. So down there, before the close of our table tag, you create 2 rows there, TR1 and TR2. 2 table rows, the first table row, the second table row. In the first table row here, we create the first table data. This is not a heading, it's just a normal data. So TD, and this TD has the word contacts, but it is spanning across 2 rows. So the first TD with the word contacts. I think I can have it horizontal so that you can see it clearly. Contacts, something like that. Contacts. And then another one more TD, the second TD for number, this. So number, then the number itself. So you can have a symbol number fed there. Don't worry about the content. So here, our first table heading, we are expecting it to go across 2 rows. So we are coming here inside the TD, the first TD, we introduce an attribute called row span. So row span equals 2. That means this table data that is starting here is expected to go across 2 rows, from the row that it is in and then the second row as well. Now our second TD, our second table data, this one, is expected to span across 2 columns as well. That's why we have 2 columns here, 1 and 2, meaning in as much as we expected 3 columns, we are not going to create 3 TDs. The second TD will pick that automatically and span across the second column. So for now here, we just say column span equals 2. So row span equals 2 for the first TD, column span equals 2 for the second table data. So you can preview what we've done and confirm whether everything is okay. And this is what we have done. So far that row is sorted. Now let's go to the second, the other row, that is. Let's go to the other row. Now in this row here, in this row, our first table data will come from the previous row. So we are not going to create a new table data here in this row. Why? Because that data is coming from above there. So we will now concentrate with the second table data, and that second table data is spanning across 2 columns. So that means our last row will only have 1 table data that is spanning across 2 columns. Let's go. A TD here with the word email, then the email address itself. You can type any random email, like I can just say what school or junior school at gmail.com, something like that. Now this table data, this one, is cutting across 2 columns, this and this. So we just come here and introduce col span equals 2, and we are done. We are done. We are done. So you can now see that you have another table row that you had introduced here, and that table row is now cutting across your 2 columns. But this table row, this one, the first TD came from above there, so we didn't concentrate with that in our last row. We only concentrated with the TD which was cutting across the 2 columns, and that is how you can play around with the table data to display information. Now we are still populating our website with content, and our last scope now will be the scope to create a list of items in our website. So we can now go to the services page and work on this, the services page. Now another better way of populating your content, or rather displaying information to the users out there, is using a list of items. So we can be able to display content in our services page using list items. So in the list items, LIs, we have what we call an UL and an OL. We are now in our services page, so we are going now to define how our services page will look like. So we can tell people something like welcome to our website. Below, find list of our programs. Then from there we start. Item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 5, item 6. In a list order. So we can define the list items. Probably we can say pre-unit, we can say lower grade, we can say upper grade, and maybe junior secondary, something like that. So let's go to our code. In our services page, we introduce ourselves. So we are saying inside an H1, welcome to our website. You can now use any other message, either H1 or H2 or any other heading, and at that particular point introduce an ordered list, a list that has some order. Then inside your OLs, you can now define the content. The first L item, LI item, you say pre-unit. The second LI, you say lower grade. Then the third LI, you say upper grade. And then the last LI, you say junior secondary. So by just doing that, you have created a very nice list of item. You can see this is what we have created. If you just change, instead of OL, you say UL. Then you change that and it becomes bullets. And that is what exactly we wanted to achieve. Now there are so many other attributes about UL and LI. Like for example, you can start maybe with a certain character, maybe a certain Roman number, or maybe a certain alphabet, or maybe a certain number. So those are attributes, but at least the most important thing that we wanted to cover in this was how to introduce ourselves to UL and the OL tags with their attributes. So you can try to practice, put as much information as you want and see if it works well. Thank you so much for watching. At least so far we have covered so much. I want you people to practice from where you are. See if you can be able to achieve what we have achieved in this lesson, and in case of an issue, then we can always reach back. Thank you so much. See you in the next class. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.